Yo, what is up? We are back. We are here on No Border Sports. We are here with our esteemed colleague, Chuy, and Waruna sporting the tasty beverage there. Labels in. Can't get any trouble for some branding stuff. You know what I mean?
Hey, go get your sponsorship, Waruna. Go get your sponsorship. Yes. I ain't mad at you.
Yes.
Right. What up, Chuy? How's your day going?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having us on today. I'm in Texas, as you guys know, and we have a cold front coming through here. So we had some ice and some snow today. But hey, I got the day off, so I'm here to join you fine fellas here.
We're supposed to get to -1 degrees tonight. Which isn't necessarily that bad, but last time it got cold, the pipe froze. So got to make sure to leave the faucet running a little bit tonight there, guys.
Yeah, don't put yourself through that.
Oh, I was not happy not showering for a week. That was not cool. Well, it was more like 6 days. Yeah. By the sixth day, this was crazy. So by the 6th day, I call up my sister and I'm like, hey, can I come take a shower? Because like this needs to happen right now, right? Like I am about ready to just freak, right? And she says, well, Trent's about to be home. That's her husband, right? And I say, well, what's wrong with that? She says, well, they got to come down into like a curve and a turn, and there's no place to park. So it's like he's parking up by the road himself. So there's no place for me to park across the street. It's just screwed. And so it was like, never mind. I'll see you tomorrow. Right. About 15 minutes later, I'm standing in my room contemplating how I'm going to get this done before Sunday. Not one more day. Next thing you know, the faucet in the bathroom in the hall starts running. And I'm telling you, it was like Christmas, bro. Oh, like Christmas.
I can imagine.
Are you in California, Waruna? You're in sunny California, probably. The warm weather over there all the time.
I'm in Sacramento. But yesterday night, I think it went minus. So it was like minus. Not that bad. But today morning, it was okay.
Yeah, so hopefully it warms up, man. I'm tired of winter. I'm not a winter fan. I want to be outdoors doing some fun stuff, barbecuing, drinking some beer, enjoying those nice Texas evenings out here.
Oh, whoops. I told my boss, I said, forgot my glasses. Told my boss, I said, snow, I'll drive in the snow. Once it's just ice, nah. You know what I'm saying? I'll drive in snow all day long. I got no problems. But when it's just a sheet of ice, because what it does here in Washington is it'll snow a little bit, and then it'll melt, and then it'll freeze, and then everything's like a sheet of ice. And it's just horrible.
Yeah, the humidity does suck, Kim. So we're here, and during the summer and the spring, gets so humid. You get all them mosquitoes and stuff out there. It's terrible.
Okay.
So let's jump into the topics today. So talked about weather and stuff. So coaching hires. So we are going to talk about around the NFL, everything. Crazy news comes out every day. We saw the biggest thing, Brian Flores news, that how he was treated. But I thought personally that it's the end of his coaching career in NFL, given the way things have happened in the past, especially given the fact Colin Kaepernick never had a job again. But luckily, he has a job with Pittsburgh Steelers, with Mike Tomlin, the best place that you can go to. So there are other hires like Brian Daboll coming to Chicago, connecting with that brand new quarterback, Justin Fields. Not brand new, but still a rookie, exciting quarterback. So, Chuy, you can start.
Yeah, just to quickly jump in, let me talk about an ugly group of hires. I'll tell you what, when we talk about this cycle with the coaching hires, I don't know what these teams were thinking, honestly. There's maybe one decent hire, I think, long term, that I could look up. what was it, 5 or 6 openings that were filled this offseason. There was a couple that were just total head scratchers, but wow, it was not a good group. One thing I do want to say before I go into that, though, is big shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, isn't that just such a great organization and such a great place? You know, they have Mike Tomlin, who's the longest tenured head coach in the NFL right now. I think, right? He's more than Bill Belichick, I believe. If not, he's the second longest, maybe.
15 years, right? He's 15 years and Belichick almost 21 years.
Yeah, so, but he's up there. I think he might be like the second longest tenured head coach, but I think he's an amazing coach. It's an amazing organization. Obviously, the Rooney Rule, named after the late Art Rooney. So they've been doing it right for a long time there, and they're still doing it right. Regardless of what anybody thinks personally about Brian Flores, I mean, they brought him aboard, they gave him a job, and they just continue to do things the right way. So I think that's definitely shows how strong the leadership is there in Pittsburgh, because they're doing the right things. So jumping in, I see Kim there talking about the Brian Daboll hire to the New York Giants. You know, I'm not really 100% sold on that move. I think Daboll is a very bright coach, and I think he has a lot of potential. Obviously, what he did with Josh Allen up in Buffalo was amazing. The 2 years Allen was in the NFL before he got there, and you compare him to the 2 years with Brian Daboll, there's a big difference. The only thing that I'm worried about there is, are they going to let him move on from Daniel Jones so quickly? Because I'm not a fan of Danny Dimes. I don't think that that's a quarterback that's going to make him a successful head coach. It's not going to give him a successful tenure there in New York. So I'm hoping they let him come in, take a look at Danny Dimes. If he doesn't like him, let him move on. Let him bring in his guy and develop him the way he did Josh Allen. So I think he's a good head coach hire. Sadly, I'm going to say, I never thought I'd hear myself saying this, is I think the best hire short term going forward is going to be Josh McDaniels over in Las Vegas, which I cannot even believe I'm saying that. That just tells you how ugly this group is. I mean, when you're talking about Josh McDaniels is one of the best hires out of this group. But I think short term, I mean, he has a good tight end, one of the best in the game. Derek Carr, to me, is a very serviceable quarterback if you put him in the right system. I think the defense is where they're going to need some work, but they're going to have a lot of draft capital that they can use to address that. But I think short term, Josh McDaniels is going to be the best hire out of this group this season. What do you guys think?
I mean, totally agree. The one reason that I looked Raiders last season is that they got my respect. They had so many things going against them, starting with their head coach, the players, not just one player, multiple players getting involved in off-field incidents. But still, they made it to the playoffs. They were fighting every game. They went to overtime. I believe they did beat Dallas in one game. So that team had the DNA that we are going to fight no matter what. So if a head coach can comes in and stabilize that environment, they can probably get something out of. Still, Derek Carr is a good quarterback, I believe. So I agree with you on that. That team can move forward.
I think Derek Carr was one of the most underrated top quarterbacks in the league. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of just, it went past his stats to everybody else's. Like he was a fluke. And I got a shout out to Barry a Baller. He's the one who was talking about in the off season. I don't remember if you remember him up at Lake Tahoe, and one of his boys threw a ball onto the beach while everybody was playing golf, and Patrick Mahomes, he walked past it, didn't want anything to do with it. And Derek Carr's like, I got this. And he stood up and he sailed the ball right to the barge out on the thing, which was, I can't remember how far it was, but he wasn't scared to take a shot. And that's what Baller got from it. And it showed this season because he put up great numbers this year under a lot of distress. I was about the coaching. I really want to see Byron Leftwich get a head coaching position. And if you were a team that was in some sort of a mid-range, might be able to make a push, and you hire Byron Leftwich, and you might be able to get Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I think, became really close with Byron Leftwich. And that's one of the reasons why I think he was kind of calling it quits with Tampa Bay, whether he's retiring or not. I can assure you he's calling it quits with Tampa Bay. And if it's rumored, I heard that he was an Arian, or what's his name? The coach. Bruce Arians. Yeah, Bruce Arians would come in on like Tuesday or like Wednesday and scrap everything that Byron Leftwich and Brady were working on. And to me, like if you got a guy who's working on a game plan with the best quarterback of the day, I mean, and they're coming up with, why do you not keep that stuff? Take your ego out of it. You know what I mean? Take your ego out of it. You got
Brian, over there, I heard some different contradicting reports over that. Especially,
okay.
I can't remember who said this out. I believe it was someone inside.
Was it Adam Schefter?
Not Adam Schefter. I can't remember the gentleman's name. He said he worked with this organization for 2 years. When Bruce Arians was hired, he said that there is a level of involvement that I am going to be with the organization. So he's going to hand over most of these responsibilities, game planning and everything, to Byron Leftwich. So it was not that Bruce Arians had an ego. It was most like there was a pre-agreement. Okay, you guys take care of this thing. I'll oversee the thing. So there was some contradicting reports over this. But I'll just ask just not to go off the topic. What do you think about Brian Daboll's hire? Do you think New York Giants can turn around things?
I'm amazed by what Ekim just put in the comments. The 5th-year option being $21 million? That's
Yeah, I mean, he was a top 5 draft pick, so was he top 5 or number 6? It was either 5 or 6 where he was drafted.
I didn't know their contracts got up that high at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you pick up that 5th-year option is when there's a big jump in salary, because at that point you're supposed to be sold on that player. That's why you pick up the 5th-year option. And then it becomes fully guaranteed, right? The 5th-year option becomes fully guaranteed. So they're on the hook for all of that money if they pick up that option. So that's a crazy cap. That's a crazy number for Daniel Jones. Like I said, I mean, he's an okay quarterback. He's not spectacular, but he's not the worst in the league. But he's just not a difference maker, in my opinion. He has some decent mobility, but he's erratic with his passes. He's not accurate. And to me, if you're not uber athletic in the top echelon athleticism, then you have to be uber accurate as a passer. He's not either. So to me, that's just always going to be his ceiling, is he's going to be a middle of the road quarterback as his ceiling. And, Brian Daboll sticks with him. I don't think that that's going to make him successful in the long term.
So one thing I've always noticed is, I swear when he scrambles and he's running, I swear he doesn't have very good vision, and he doesn't get down quick enough. So it's not a good recipe for success in the Giants if you can't scramble well and you don't have good vision, because you're going to end up on a stretcher.
Yes, that's true.
So I think also another thing to me when it comes to the quarterback position that I notice with Daniel Jones is he just doesn't have that moxie, that a high-end starting quarterback is going to have. And to me, it was perfectly on display when he had that long run. It was like a 70-yard touchdown or something. Well, it wasn't a touchdown, where he stumbled and, he was wide open in the open field, nothing but daylight in front of him, and he just fluffed it. He just completely fell down, tripped over the turf. And to me, that's just like a microcosm of what his entire career is going to be, is he just doesn't have that makeup to be, an elite player. And some people have it, some people don't. And that's that right there just to me illustrated, oh, okay, this is not the guy. They need to move on from that dude.
Right. I like how you put that as a microcosm of his whole career. Like, it's just going to be one trip and stumble the whole time. He's just
well, he had it all right there, right in front of him for the taking, and then just he figured out a way to mess it up, right? That to me, I mean, that just shows the kind of player he is. E. Kim in the comments, he did one person that long term I think could be a good hire out of this group is Eberflus, who went to the Bears. And the only reason I say that maybe he could be a good hire long term is because of his quarterback. You know, we're talking about Daniel Jones with Brian Daboll. Well, I think the Bears, in my opinion, last draft, they got the most talented quarterback in the draft. I think Justin Fields, even after seeing him play all last season, to me, he is the most complete and the most physically talented quarterback that was drafted last season in the draft last year. More talented than Trevor Lawrence, way more talented than Zach Wilson. I think Trey Lance is probably the closest talent-wise to him, but I just don't see what Trey Lance does better than Justin Fields. Justin Fields is more elusive. He's faster. He's more accurate. He throws a better deep ball than Trey Lance. The only thing Trey Lance maybe does is has some more weight on him and can, you know, run over defenders, but you don't want your quarterback doing that anyways. So
he's a little taller, so he might have better like vision of the field, but that's, you know, that's the least of the worries when if you're describing he's got everything else, then you know what I mean, that would be kind of the least of your worries, because somebody as short as Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson can still get it done.
Right.
So,
and he's a much better passer, in my opinion, than
especially
Kyler
right
Murray.
now.
Right. So to me, that's why I see maybe long-term success for Eberflus if he can come in and instill a good program there. He has the quarterback for the next 10 to 12 years, I think, that could make him a successful coach.
Chuy, I want to ask one more follow-up question just to finish off this topic. We talked about hires. What about fires? There is a one head coach I would want to see get fired. That is Cliff Kingsbury. I think that man is ruining that organization. What do you think?
Yeah, well, you know, I actually live about 2 hours away from Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas. So I'm very familiar with Cliff Kingsbury. I saw him play in college at Texas Tech University. I saw him coach at Texas A&M. I saw him coach in person at Texas Tech in Lubbock. The guy, no, I mean, he's not a winner. He is not the answer. A lot of people, I've heard reports that the Arizona Cardinals are kind of trying to spin the situation that's going on with them and Kyler Murray right now, where they're putting stuff out in the media saying, is it really Kyler Murray or is it Cliff Kingsbury's system that's making Kyler Murray? Give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, it's Kyler Murray that has made that system and that coach relevant at all in the NFL. If
Definitely.
Cliff Kingsbury had any other quarterback, he would just be irrelevant. He probably already would have been fired because Kyler Murray is the only reason that team is competitive. Cliff Kingsbury couldn't even win in the Big 12 with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. He could not even win. They set a whole bunch of passing records, but there's been multiple 5,000-yard passers at that university just based on that system because it was Mike Leach that ran that system before Cliff Kingsbury. He was Kingsbury's coach back in the day. So he's the originator of the air raid offense. Kingsbury is just the new guy that wears Ray-Bans on the sideline, so he's the cool kid running the system, but it's Mike Leach's system.
And rents the Airbnb.
Right, and it's just, yeah, right, the glass background there in the at the draft.
So cool.
But yeah, I mean, that's the only reason he's relevant is he dresses cool, he throws the ball all over the yard, and he has Kyler Murray. If he didn't have Kyler Murray, he would have already been fired. He probably would be coaching a low-level college team because he already failed at a Division I Big 12 school with the best quarterback of a generation. You couldn't even win with him. So to me, Cliff Kingsbury should have been fired 2 or 3 years ago already.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think his record would be with a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo?
I would say he'd probably have like a 20% win percentage. Probably it wouldn't be good.
He's 3-14.
Yeah, it'd be probably around there, 10-50, something like that. It would be awful, I think.
Yes. So let's move on to next topic.
But hey,
Running back.
Arizona, I'm a 49er fan. Keep him in the NFC West, please.
Yes, please do. Please. So running back contracts. Now, running back contracts, the idea behind this topic is we are seeing that big time contracts like Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, those guys doesn't give you back what your money is worth. Basically, they might get injured. Zeke was okay last season, but I don't think it's worth the price that you paid in $15 million a year. So what do you think? Because 49ers got 6th round pick and good results. So basically you can draft a running back every draft, maybe late 6th, 7th round, and have some good results. So Ryan, I'm coming to you first. So what do you think about this?
So I think the system they got set up now doesn't really work in anybody's favor, really. So like back in the day, Jamarcus Russell got how many millions of dollars of signing bonus to become a Raider, whatnot, and then he just was a complete bust. And they put some measurements to stop teams from selling their future on idiotic players just to try and get the biggest signing bonus. So they need to do something with running backs, because the best years of a running back's time is going to be in the first 4 years of his career, 5 years of his career. Then when he's going to his contract year, when he's going to see that big, huge bag, people want to keep them. Then he's got to work out another 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years after that to get all that money. And as you see with Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, people who are total workhorses of their team, you know what I mean? Like, 40% of the offense, 50% of his offense. Look at Debo this year. You know what I mean? He's a complete big chunk of their offense. And when they run these running backs into the ground like that, they're not helping them, and they're not helping the running back. The running back should be making more money early on if they're good enough. You know what I mean? They should have – I don't know how you would do it, but they should have it to where maybe the running back's contract is, like instead of picking up the 5th-year option, it's picking up the 3rd, 4th, and 5th-year option. And then the price goes up more there, so they can maybe actually play that time, earn the money they actually deserve because they're the workhorse, they're the bell cow. And then when it comes into the next contract, the team and the player can be a little more reasonable about things. And, they don't have to worry about, hey, I'm going into this contract year. I got to not only do really good, but I also got to make sure I don't injure myself. You can just kind of just play football and know that what your worth is, and, not have to sign this big, huge contract because it's the last one you're going to sign probably. You know what I mean? Because you're talking about by the end of this first contract, you'll be in the league at least like 8, 9, 10 years. You know what I mean? As a running back, not everybody's a Frank Gore. You know what I mean? So I think something needs to be done. Do you guys have any ideas to how that should be structured?
Yes. So I want Chuy to answer the Kim's comment as well. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I agree. Ooh, there's a little bit of an echo there. Okay. I think I agree with something needs to be done when it comes to running back pay. And I think the way it needs to be addressed is in the next CBA, negotiations. What needs to happen is the agents for these running backs, they need to get with the NFLPA leadership, and they really need to hammer out how are these players being used. Because you talked about the volume of the offense that they're carrying, but it's not rushing the football anymore because they're no longer a ground and pound team. I mean, the 49ers are an outlier because they ran the ball so much. I think the Baltimore Ravens run the ball so much, but Lamar Jackson is getting a lot of those rushes. The Buffalo Bills are also running the ball a lot, but Josh Allen is getting a lot of those rushes. So a lot of the usage for the running backs is coming in the passing game now. They're getting screens. They're getting the little Texas routes out of the backfield. That's primarily how these running backs are being used. You look at the stars in the league now, like Saquon Barkley. He's versatile running back, can catch out of the backfield.
McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey.
Even more so, I think, than Saquon Barkley. Yep, Alvin
Kamara with the Saints. They're not ground and pound running through the tackles anymore. They're being used catching the ball. So I think the way to address it is they need to be compensated based on that, on their usage rate. And that's what needs to be looked at when they're giving contracts out to these players. 40% of their contribution came as a pass catcher, 60% came as a running back. So 60% of their contract should be based on the running back scale, 40% should be based on the wide receiver scale, something like that, to do hybrid, type of contracts for these guys. Obviously, they need to do that in the CBA. So when it comes time to franchise tag these guys, that sets the market, because that's ultimately, what's going to change it is you have to get somebody to get paid a certain amount before it could set the market there. And you do it by putting it as a requirement in the CBA that if you franchise tag a running back, their usage has to be taken into account. And they can get 40% of the wide receiver franchise tag, and they can get 60% of the running back franchise tag as part of the contract. Because this would not only apply to running backs, it could apply to tight ends. If you remember back when Jimmy Graham had this gripe where he said, I'm flexed out in the slot most of the time. I'm not even used as a tight end anymore. I'm a slot receiver, basically. So This would solve both of those problems, in my opinion.
So I just had listening to you, I had an idea. What about a rookie contract for running backs to where there was essentially a minimum salary that you could get, you know what I mean? And that would go with a certain average amount of touches, you know what I mean? And anybody who got over that amount of touches or that amount of attempts, you know what I mean? Receptions and whatnot, anybody above that, they prorate it, you know what I mean? So if you are the workhorse as your rookie, you're going to get your minimum, but anything over, they start using you over, they're getting charged for it. So then maybe you can get more of the big, because I really don't see how good it is using somebody up while they're young and they're a part of your team and not reimbursing them well at the time for that. Then get in a contract to reimburse them well, and they're not healthy enough to play through it to earn the money that they put up there. And it's not helping you as a team having all that sitting there kind of waiting, might be used, might not be used. You got a spot on the roster that's going back and forth, you know what I mean? It doesn't help anybody. So to
maybe
have
something into the salary cap that's like the auxiliary usage or something, that goes to these type of contracts. You have a certain amount of a pool of money aside from the salary cap that's just for those escalators that you're talking about.
Yeah, there should be, because even quarterbacks, you know what I mean? If you got a quarterback who's throwing for, the rookie quarterback throwing for, almost 5,000 yards and rushing for almost 1,000, you know what I mean? They should be getting paid well. You know what I mean? Because they are doing something that other people who are getting paid a lot more than them aren't. And there needs to be something to where it starts getting them paid there and starts stepping them up on the levels. So when it does come time to their contract, it's on the books that they do all this, and they're setting their standards already for what they have to pay them.
I agree with you 100%. The only problem with this that I see happening, the owners don't want to spend more money, and ultimately they're the ones in control. They're the billionaires that own these teams. The richest, player on any team is still has a minute wealth level of what the owners of these teams have. And when it comes down to it, in the PR, fans always, every time there's a lockout or anything like that, fans always side with the owners for whatever reason. I cannot understand and fathom why fans always side with the owners, and then they start turning on the players whenever there's labor disputes. Like the players are the ones putting out the product, guys. They're the ones we're watching. They're the ones putting their livelihood on the line, not the owners. The owners are just collecting the profits and the checks. Like,
they're just pulling the strings.
It blows my mind that every single time you have a labor dispute, everybody always turns on the players and they side with the owners. And I still, for the life of me, I don't understand why.
The only thing that I could see that would actually make them want to do it is I'm pretty sure in like 4 or 5 years, you might have an issue getting running backs. You know what I mean? Of quality. And there might be a good 4 or 5 year time frame where the level of the running backs coming out of college are horrible until they put something like this in place. You know what I mean? To start encouraging kids to get back out there and start being running backs again. Because right now, you know, how kids get into, you know, football and go become an NFL level, they, you know, start in, you know, Pee-wee and whatnot. They start getting older, middle school, whatnot. They start playing for their school team. By the time they get high school, a lot of these kids that end up getting to the NFL and to the pros have got some sort of specialized coach already at that point in time, right? So if you're going so far as to, in high school, have a specialized coach, and you're thinking that far ahead, why aren't you thinking about your future in the tier of competition that you're trying to play in and the longevity you can have? You know what I mean? Look at Jalen Hurd. Jalen Hurd wanted to, right? I don't know. I haven't seen him play in so long. But he was a running back, and then he switched to wide receiver because he knew his body couldn't take it. And you're talking about in college. So you're talking about a lot of these people know that they're going to have, what up, Swan? They're going to have issues. And they might start seeing it and start converting. And then you don't have a talented running back anymore. So
you know, unfortunately, that's a hard thing to fix because all of the offenses the colleges are running now, you don't have the teams that are even running the ball in college anymore. The spread is way more widespread in college football than it is even in the NFL. And in the NFL, it's pretty much taken over at this point as well. So, I mean, I just don't think that – I really don't know the solution, man. I know something needs to be done because those players are really not being compensated, I think, fairly based on their usage level, the way you said. But – you know, I don't know the solution, honestly.
And running the ball is so important, I think, to the game of football. If it's a drop back and pass every play, I mean, the amount of 3 and outs are going to go up. You know what I mean? It might cause some stale football when you've got, you know, 2 good defenses that are good at pass defenses. This might be a real ugly game. So,
well,
I mean,
who knows?
like,
Maybe the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay coaching tree that's starting to spread around the NFL might change some of this because, you know, they might be running the football a little bit more.
You can't do it if you got nobody signing up to be the start position for that type of offense. Look, I get what you said. And yes, you know what I mean? Like, I always wanted to be a running back when I was a fat old lineman. You know what I mean? And, you know, I got to play some scout D sometimes when they had a really big running back that we went up against. You know what I mean? But other than that, and I thought it was pretty good. But so much fun. So much fun. You know, it's flashy. You know what I mean? Like, being an offensive lineman, it's not very flashy.
It's fun until you get hit all those times in the game. Trust me, I was a running back, and those nicks and bruises and injuries, you know, it's a real thing. Like, it takes its toll through the whole season. So, you know, it's unfortunate because it is one of the toughest positions to play because your body takes such a beating. I mean, you see for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel at the end of the season, he only played half the season at running back, basically. and he was limping off the field in the playoffs just because he was so worn down based on all the usage he was getting.
And you get it after another. So you get banged up, dragged to the ground, and then you got to pop up and go back there. And in 30 seconds, you got to be back out there running the ball, getting hit again. There's no time to just kind of take a deep breath and feel, get the pain out, shake the pain off. There's no time for that. It's just get in there, boom, boom, boom.
Yes. So let's move on to the next topic, guys. Probably the most interesting topic of the day. Who will stay? QBs. I hope it will not be Jimmy Garoppolo staying. I mean, today I saw a report saying, okay, still 49ers are not sold on moving away from Jimmy Garoppolo. They will stick to Jimmy, but let's keep that aside. But other than that, now Aaron Rodgers, he sent out I don't know. He's too much drama.
Why are we talking about Aaron Rodgers? I don't want to talk about him at all.
Let me finish. I
don't want to talk about him or Russell or Kyle. Well, maybe Kyler.
Right. So there are multiple quarterbacks. Even, obviously, yes, you have Russell Wilson in the picture, Kyler Murray, Rodgers. Then there are some questions about Carson Wentz. There are some legitimate questions about Carson Wentz, whether he is going to stay. And we talked about Daniel Jones, whether probably they will keep him. But Jalen Hurts, whether Eagles want to go in a separate direction. There are so many not controversies, I would say, theories going around, news going around. Another quarterback would be Sam Darnold. Whether Panthers want to keep Sam Darnold. Then Broncos have a question with quarterbacks. So, Chuy, what do you think about this situation? Probably this situation will play out for the advantage of 49ers because Jimmy Garoppolo will get a higher pick because there is so much of need. But who do you think should stay and who do you think should move?
So I'm leaning towards a more conservative side on this. I don't think there's going to be all these, flashy moves of the flashy guys that, that the high tier quarterbacks that are going to be changing locations. It's just, it's not going to happen. The one thing is a lot of these quarterbacks are older players. They're up in their 30s, mid 30s. Aaron Rodgers in his late 30s, and the teams that they're currently playing for, because these quarterbacks are so good, they're going to be asking a premium for them. And honestly, it's going to come to me, the demand is not going to be there. There's not going to be teams that are willing to give up 2 first-round picks, 2 first round and a third for a 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers, even, who has maybe 1 or 2 seasons left. 2 seasons at a high, 1 season at an MVP level, 2 seasons at a high level left, maybe, and you're going to give up 2 first-round picks and maybe another second-round pick that it's going to take to get him. Same thing with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is,
he's 34. He will be turning 34.
He's 34, but he's a shell of what he used to be, right? He led the NFL in sacks this season. He doesn't move around the way he used to. He could still have some good pocket mobility, but he can't run and move around the way he used to. He's just getting up there in age again. But what is it going to take to get Russell Wilson? It's going to take 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, 2 first-round picks, and a third or fourth. Who's out there that's going to give up a king's ransom for these older players?
Russell Wilson. What do you think then? Because
who was that?
Let's say Tampa Bay wants to make a move on Russell Wilson. What do you think about that situation? Because Tampa Bay are still a good team. If they can get Russell Wilson, even maybe let's say 3 first-round picks would be worth it. What do you think about that?
Again, yeah, it might be worth it. He's a top-tier quarterback. You put him in that system. He likes to throw downfield. So it's a perfect fit scheme-wise for what Russell Wilson likes to do. But it's a 34-year-old quarterback who you're going to pay $30 million a season probably to play. And you have to give up 3 first-round picks on top of that. So you're giving up $30 million a season, 3 first-round picks, and you're going to get them for 2 to 3 seasons.
And then who do you put around him at that point? And
Right.
with money left.
So I
with
think
what-
what you're going to see, and what a lot of fans are going to be a little upset, is you're going to see a lot of movement on the mid-tier guys. So I think like a Carson Wentz, like you mentioned, I think he's likely to be gone. I'd say it's more likely he's leaving than staying. You're going to look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, he's going to be moving more than likely. Adam Schefter came out and said maybe not, but more than likely he's going to be moving. Derek Carr, there's a new staff. Do they like him? Do they not like him? He could be somebody that might move. Kirk Cousins, to me, I don't think is going to move. The head coach there has a background with him back in Washington. He worked with him when he was younger. So in my opinion, he's probably going to be entrenched there, maybe as a bridge quarterback to whoever they draft. So I see another 2 years of Kirk Cousins probably with the Vikings. So
I am going
to throw one name at both of you guys. Ryan Tannehill.
Hold on. I heard that Kirk Cousins, the new head coach, they want to work with Kirk Cousins. So I heard that one's pretty much unmuted.
Yeah, well, he worked with him in Washington. He was his quarterback coach in Washington. So to me, there's a connection there.
Do you think Titans want to move away from Ryan Tannehill and seek out another quarterback?
Of course they do. I mean, did you see that playoff game?
Yes, that's my question.
Who are they going to – what pick are they going to send with Tannehill to get rid of him? They're going to have to pull a Jared Goff at this point to get rid of Ryan Tannehill. So,
well, it's also like you were talking about with the Colts and Wentz. It's like, who are they going to get? Because they can't just go, oh, Wentz, bye-bye. They have to make sure they're getting something better first before they get rid of him. You know what I mean? And I don't – who are they giving up? What are they giving up for, who they're trying to get?
What if you just go to Titans?
Huh?
What if Aaron Rodgers goes to Titans?
Aaron Rodgers won't go to the Titans.
Why?
I don't know.
Titans are a team that are ready. I mean, win now team. So what's wrong with Titans?
Yeah, I mean, that makes them I think, an instant Super Bowl contender since they had a playoff roster before Aaron Rodgers. But that's actually a good. I hadn't thought of Tennessee as a possible location for him. But hey, he's played in Green Bay all these years, so he doesn't necessarily need a big market. But I think for quarterbacks like him, like Russell Wilson, these elder statesmen, they want to go somewhere to build their brand because they're already planning for life after football. They're about to make that transition, so they want to go to the big market teams the way Matt Stafford went to LA. They want to go to the big market teams to cash in. The last couple of seasons they're playing, so they have that where they could transition. Like Russell Wilson, if he could go to a New York team, I bet he wants to go to a New York team. I mean, that's the goal for him.
Let me talk about the Titans real quick. So you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, who likes to pass, right? He wants to be the guy. He wants to be the biggest buck on the team. And that offense is made to beat you with Derrick Henry.
King Henry.
Yeah. So you're talking about bringing a quarterback in who wants to do one style and an offense that's totally different to that style. And I don't see you being able to appease Rodgers and still have such a dominant run game, because it's not like the Titans just come out of the game and just start blowing people up. It's not always the thing. Sometimes they come out slow. You know what I mean? They got to commit to the run game, and they got to keep bashing you in and keep getting you tired. And then all of a sudden they can gas you, for the last half of the game. So being, I think it's two different. It's the wrong quarterback for the wrong offense. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to go somewhere.
I agree with you 100% there. I could see Aaron Rodgers going to Houston before I could see him going to Tennessee.
That's what I was thinking.
Because he can go to Houston, he can bring Devontae Adams with him to Houston, and then now they have Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Brandon Cooks is still there, right?
Yes.
I think
Yes,
so.
they have Brandon Cooks, who's a good second receiver, and they have no identity offensively. So they're going to basically, Lovie Smith is the new head coach. They're going to hand the keys over to Aaron Rodgers, which I think is what Aaron Rodgers wants. He wants to
Yep.
run the show and do what Tom Brady basically did in Tampa Bay. So to me, that's a dark horse team that I don't hear get mentioned a lot that I think
Yes,
can make
but
a play
one
for
counter
Aaron
argument
Rodgers.
to that
Or maybe
is
he wants the Peyton Manning
lost to
role.
the 49ers. Rodgers mentioned right after the loss to the 49ers, he mentioned that he doesn't want to be a part of a team that is going to rebuild or maybe have a slightest of chance that they have some doubt. So Rodgers wants to go to a team that is win now, ready to win, like Brady did with Tampa Bay. So
He says
that's
that in public, Waruna, but I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. What kind of guy is Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers is a me guy.
he's a prick.
If the Houston Texans come to Aaron Rodgers and they say, "Hey, we're going to go get you Devontae Adams. You tell us who else you want. We're going to get you whoever you want." Aaron Rodgers is like, "Okay, now you're speaking my language. You mean I get whatever I want? I get to call the shots." To me, that would entice Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion.
And the Texans are only a couple pieces away. You know what I mean? Like if Deshaun Watson hadn't had all these issues and they weren't beefing, we would have been talking about him these last 2 years about being in the hunt for the Super Bowl or the playoffs, I feel. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
JJ Watt left. That's kind of it, you know. Other than that, that team is still can. Who did they mollywop? Who did they mollywop this season? They beat somebody they shouldn't have. They probably beat a couple people.
They did beat Chargers 41 points to something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's score
So
line.
to answer your original question, Waruna, I think, in my opinion, realistically, the best quarterbacks that are going to change locations are Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe Jared Goff be like the third quarterback that might be in a different location. You're not going to see the top tier quarterbacks, in my opinion, change teams. It's going to be the mid-level starters like Jimmy Garoppolo, Tannehill, Jared Goff, those type of players that are going to be the ones that move. Everybody else is going to stay, in my opinion.
Yes, I have a follow-up question on that. Do you think guys like who was the Chicago starting quarterback?
Fields.
Oh, Mitchell Trubisky?
Oh,
yes.
Trubisky.
Do you think he will get a second chance?
Yes.
He'll get a second chance, I think, but it's going to be in a bridge quarterback type situation. He's going to go to a team that drafts a quarterback. He's not going to be given the opportunity to be a franchise guy until he proves it. If he goes somewhere as a bridge quarterback and blows it out of the water, sort of like Tannehill did with the Titans, you know, he went as a backup to Mariota, took over, and then he took them deep into the playoffs. I think Trubisky has to do something like that to be able to, you know, solicit like the confidence from a team to give him a bigger contract.
Yes.
Or think of him as something more than a bridge.
Yes. So let's move on to the next topic. So we talked about the quarterbacks, possible moves. What do you think? Bengals and Rams next season. So, you know, I'm really high on Joe Burrow. I really want to see that kid winning a Super Bowl one day, if not for 49ers. And I was shocked, not shocked. I was kind of worried with the stat that I saw after the game that people pointed out that Dan Marino, he went to the Super Bowl in his second season and he never went there again. I was like, oh my God. I hope that does not happen to Joe Burrow because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So anyway, what do you guys think about these two teams? Do you think Bengals, they were kind of an anomaly because we didn't expect them to be in the Super Bowl this year, but did they punched above their weight? Are they going to decline or can they keep it up? Especially in AFC, can they keep it up?
I'll let you jump in on that one first.
Okay, so I think the Bengals are going to be back again next year. Not necessarily a Super Bowl, but they're going to be knocking. they fucked up and they gave a bunch of nobodies the notion that they could fucking do something, and they're in trouble now. You know what I'm saying? That's what I get from this. They gave them the notion that they've got a chance, and they're just, you can't get that out of their heads. They seem like they're a bunch of dogs, and they're ready to just fight to the death. You know what I mean? And they're going to be ornery, and somebody is going to have to deal with them in one way or another for the next 4 to 5 years. You know what I mean? And they're not going to want to have to. They're going to, you know, they're a team that people are always going to circle on the calendar because their team gets after it. Their quarterback is unfazed by anything. You know what I mean? He's really, which is amazing. He's got that kind of that cornerback mentality. You know what I mean? Give up the big play. Forgot about it already. Let's get back in there. Let's do the next play. You know what I mean? He doesn't matter if he just got sacked. He's got another play. He's got another chance. We can still do it. That's a Joe Montana thing.
Yeah, comment section are blowing up with some good points there.
Oh, let's get this going. They need an overhaul on the line. I think you could start adding 1 or 2 pieces each year for the next 2 years, and you'd probably be tip-top.
So I think I'll jump in while you're looking at these comments here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Kim hit it right on the head there, that they do need to overhaul the offensive line. I mean, obviously, they killed Joe Burrow this season. I mean, I think I said earlier in the show that Seattle led the NFL in sacks. I think the Bengals led the NFL in sacks, I believe. Or it was either sacks or pressure for the Bengals. But if they want to sustain the success, which I think they can if they keep Joe Burrow healthy going forward, they need to address the offensive line because he's not one of these running quarterbacks. He has some decent pocket mobility, but he needs to be protected. He needs to be kept upright. He already lost a season to injury. You know, his second season in the NFL already lost, or was it his rookie year? His rookie year, he lost to injury.
His rookie year, he was injured.
The rookie year lost to injury. So they need to find a way to keep him upright and keep him healthy. If they do that, I think that quarterback is the real deal. I mean, I think he has the goods. He will put the Bengals up, challenging the Bills and the Chiefs for the next decade to come. Those are going to be 3 teams that are in the thick of the playoff race. This is going to be another Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning situation where these quarterbacks are, you know, at the top of the NFL. They all were high draft picks. To me, he has that type of capability, but it's going to come down to the offensive line. And then Swan Song put a good comment in there talking about the Bengals cap space. They have the cap space to do this. So
yes,
they need 49?
Yes, they have 49 million. Basically, they are in the 4th space. The top 5 are Dolphins 60, Jaguars 59, Chargers 56, Bengals with 49. So that's
and this is a Super Bowl team coming off the Super Bowl, 49 million in cap space. Go shore up that offensive line. If I was the owner of the Bengals, I would get the GM in the office the day after the Super Bowl, fix this offensive line, or you're out of here. You know.
Yep. We're not squandering another chance. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To me,
what do you think about the Rams? So, like, I think we're all on the same page when it comes to the Bengals. What do you think about the Rams going forward?
They're gonna be so. Even if Donald comes back and who is it? Von Miller comes back, takes like a hometown deal, and if OBJ comes back and takes a hometown deal, I still think you're gonna get a lot of your other players poached from your team, and they don't have depth like that enough to be doing that, and they're gonna have to bring up people who are not as talented to plug these holes, and I think that's going to be their issue. I see the Rams on a slow decline unless like Von Miller and OBJ decide, you know, I won't come back, and they have to take all the money they were going to spend on them and actually reinvest it in their team in the right way,
They are
then they
21
can do so.
million over the salary cap.
What's up?
They are Rams are 21.6 million over the salary cap. So I don't think they have enough space to clear it up.
Well, what I'm saying is they could. Oh, what are we gonna go on here? Yeah.
I mean, even these people are coming with cheap deals. Still, I think it's a huge task for rebuild that team. Not rebuild. I mean, at least keep that team intact. Without
when I think of the Rams, what I think about is there's the old adage, right? When in the NFL, especially, when you're not 100% in, you've already lost. It comes a lot when these players start contemplating retirement, right? They start talking about it. They start thinking about it. I may be done after this season. Usually they never really end the season well when they start thinking like that because they're already not sold and they're already not 100% committed. And to me, that never ends well. When you look at the Rams, you talk about Aaron Donald, right? He already floated the retirement talk. He floated it before the Super Bowl. Sean McVay, during the press week at the Super Bowl, he talked about he may not even come back. He wants to dedicate more time to his family. OBJ is probably out of there. That injury is probably costing him the opportunity to come back. You start getting all these players, marquee players on a team who are not 100% committed and 100% in. To me, that spells disaster. If I was running that team, I honestly would get rid of all of those guys. I know they're great players. Aaron Donald is a great player. Sean McVay has been a successful head coach. But if he's not 100% in and he's already showing doubt, he is not going to be sold out 100% for the whole season. It's a whole 12-month commitment, right? They already have to start working out. They have to start preparing their bodies. They're going to rest a little bit. But, I mean, the Super Bowl was already almost a month ago. So that rest period should already be over. They should already be back working whatever regimens they're going to work on to improve for the upcoming season. If they don't have that level of commitment, it's a recipe for disaster. And I think too many of their marquee players and their head coach are, they're starting to feel that and they're starting to show the signs of that. So to me, I'm expecting a huge decline in the Rams next season. I don't think they probably won't even make the playoffs, honestly. I feel it's going to be that big of a decline.
Way I look at it is like this. I mean, not sure they are going to decline a lot, but if you think about the teams that won the Super Bowl, let's say last decade or so, Rams are one of these teams that don't strike fear in you that much. Because this year, let's forget about 49ers for a moment. In NFC, there could have been multiple teams that beat Rams any day. I'm not saying Rams are a bad team, but they are still beatable. But if you take teams like Bills, Chiefs, now when you think about that matchup, you're like, oh my God. Okay, can we beat this team? Can we beat that Chiefs team? The Patriots, so and so forth. When you have that Super Bowl winners, you have that doubt. Okay, can we compete with this team? But the Rams, still to me, they are team that is beatable. So even though their players are returning back, there might be a situation they might fall off in playoffs, or maybe even having that 10-win season. So anything is possible with that team.
And they barely sealed the deal with guys that were chasing a ring. I mean, that's the whole reason they came to this team. Von Miller, Aaron Donald was chasing a ring. OBJ went there to chase a ring. Sean McVay didn't have a Super Bowl. He was chasing that ring for his legacy. Like, I'm expecting a big drop-off just because they're going to exhale from finally getting the job done that they all went to LA to do. To me, they talk about the Super Bowl drop-off for the loser of the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be one of the first times in history we've ever seen a Super Bowl drop-off for the winner of the Super Bowl. They're probably going to run it back and try to recreate it to see if they can go back to back because every Super Bowl winner always does that. But to me, it just doesn't seem like they have that makeup to me when they were already, all of them, talking retirement before the game even took place.
Yes.
Right. How do you get yourself back in the zone when you've already thought about leaving it? Like, this is not a game you play with one foot out and one foot in. You have to have both feet in, or you are endangering yourself on the field. Excuse me. Personally, that's how I feel. Like, if you're not 100% into it, you shouldn't be on the field, because you're at risk. Your chance of putting yourself at risk. Because if you're not
Matthew
thinking
Stafford too was another one of those players. He went to LA to chase the ring for his legacy. He's been in the NFL 15 seasons now, and he got the ring finally. I don't think he really has much left to prove to himself or to anybody else.
Well, yeah, especially if they start sucking. You know what I mean? What's going to make him want to finish out a contract or stay there whatsoever? I got my ring. I got my money. I got a house. My wife still loves me. You know what I mean? Like, we good. Like, I can bow out right now.
And I don't know if I said Matt Stafford, but for his wife, Matthew Stafford. Sorry, Mrs. Stafford, since she doesn't like for him to be called Matt. It has to be Matthew.
Oh.
Well, she's one of those social media darlings that we have out there.
Yes, but I personally love some insights that she brings on. There are some things there are times she's been pretty honest about, especially that week 18 game, 49 Rams game. She said how the experience was, so and so forth. Yes. So I think we had a great discussion today, gentlemen. So that sums up our topics for today. We talked about quarterbacks, running backs, so different aspects of the game. So Chuy, before we wind up, I want you to plug in your channel where people can follow you up.
Yeah, if you guys aren't already following me on YouTube, YouTube channels Chuy and Alejandra on YouTube, go give me a subscribe, a follow, give me the notification bell there. We're going to be rotating this roundtable. We'll have us three, maybe a couple other guests on a roundtable. We'll be rotating that weekly on each other's channels. So please go and give me a subscribe on YouTube. This is my Twitter handle right here, at Chuy_Alejandra. Go give me a follow on Twitter. I'm always going to be tweeting about what's going on, giving you guys my opinion. So I'd appreciate the support.
And the link is in the description for everybody on YouTube. I don't know. There might be one on Facebook. Oh, we're on Facebook for the first time tonight.
Yes.
And there might be something on Twitter too. So, yeah.
Yes. So thank you again for Kim, Swan, for jumping in. Keep the chat going. So enjoyed it. So we are out. Have an average night.
See y'all later, fellas.
Peace.